Daddy issue. Today's meeting was a preliminary discussion with a renowned American architecture firm. Since the project hadn't entered the confidential phase yet, the content remained fairly introductory. Lawrence sat opposite the conference table, his back against the floor-to-ceiling glass wall. Sunlight poured through the windows, casting a radiant halo over him. His sleeves were rolled up, the steel blue watch on his wrist glinting coolly under the lights, and in his hand he held a deep sapphire fountain pen. On the screen, the partner firm's architects and project representatives, every one of them, suited up, presented their proposals one after another. Lawrence simply listened. No comments, no reactions, not even a nod. The sharp lines of his brows cut through the sunlight, dimming the halo enough to make his eyes appear even colder. Aurora Shen sat to his right, Apple Pencil flying rapidly across her tablet. The subtle tapping of the stylus against glass filled the quiet space. Her screen was split in two. One half was Lawrence's note-taking template. The other, her savior, as an international student, was the DeepL translation app. But the presenter spoke too fast, swallowing his words, and the stream of architectural terminology was endless. Even with software support, Aurora felt she was losing pieces of essential information. Sweat dampened the hand holding the stylus. Her cheeks burned as if she had pressed them against a boiling pot. And the tension didn't come solely from the meeting's difficulty. Lawrence's presence beside her was a force field. An invisible weight pressed over her like atmospheric pressure. Throughout the meeting, Lawrence barely spoke. He read documents, raised a hand occasionally to signal the speaker to continue, and when he did have to respond, his answers were concise, precise, and ruthlessly free of unnecessary words. Yet every time he opened his mouth, the other side was immediately convinced. The video meeting lasted 45 minutes. As everyone exchanged farewells, Aurora was still jotting down the final summary. But just then, Lawrence reached out and took the tablet from her, forcing her to look up. She hadn't transferred the notes into the report yet, and DeepL hadn't even finished translating. It felt like a student being caught by their professor using ChatGPT to write their thesis. Except worse. Professor Adam was lenient. Lawrence was unpredictable. A suffocating tightness coiled around her chest. Despite the room's ventilation, she felt lightheaded. She didn't dare meet Lawrence's eyes. Throughout the meeting, she had sensed his expression growing increasingly grim. A heavy silence filled the suite. Lawrence's first words were, 15 minutes. Fill in the blanks in this document, and bring it to me. Why, yes, sir. Aurora steadied herself, reorganized her notes, and transferred everything neatly into the report. Her typing was fast. When she finished, she still had 3 minutes left. After one last spellcheck, she stood and placed the tablet before Lawrence. He took it, one hand supporting the device, the other moving swiftly across the touchpad. Aurora hovered beside him, gauging his expression. But she couldn't read a thing. His lowered lashes concealed everything. Still, she clearly heard him exhale, soft, quiet, almost a breath through his nose. Ivy, he said. Aurora straightened immediately, responding instinctively. Why? Lawrence set the tablet on his lap and looked up at her from where he sat. His voice was soft, but the words cut like a plunge into freezing water. €600 a day, he said slowly. With that compensation, I assume we are aiming for professionalism, not acceptable enough. Aurora's face burned. Anger surged first, then collapsed beneath a crushing wave of humiliation. She breathed deeply, forcing calm, and managed a small, polite smile. Then, could you please tell me exactly what I did wrong? If it can be fixed, I'll correct it immediately. And if I'm not competent enough for this job, I'll resign on my own. Lawrence's fingers paused above the keyboard. He lowered his gaze slightly, his voice flat and cold. It seems you're very eager to end this collaboration as soon as possible. Aurora's throat tightened. She couldn't respond. Only after a long moment did Lawrence speak again, his lips stretching faintly. Do you have your original notes? She blinked, realizing he wanted to see what she had actually written. She handed him the tablet. Her shorthand scribbles, scattered symbols, and even bits of Chinese appeared clearly on the screen. Yet Lawrence examined them with utmost seriousness, even more carefully than he had the report. The close distance allowed the scent of his hair, collar, and skin to drift toward her. Warm, comforting, like burning pine wood in a winter fireplace. So different from his crisp, cold top notes earlier. Her anger softened without her permission. Ivy, Lawrence raised his head. Your logic is good. Even if you missed a few details, you compensated with inference. That's commendable. He paused, then continued. But a useful report isn't just transcription. It's selection, analysis, and judgment. Right now, you're only copying. He met her gaze directly. Do you understand what I'm saying? This time, his voice softened like the velvet curtains behind him, gently easing the tension he had caused earlier. She had to admit he did soothe her. She never expected such patience or generosity from a man so aloof and proud. Seeing her still somewhat tense expression, Lawrence asked quietly, "Are you afraid of me?" "It's not that, sir," Aurora said quickly. "As you can see, I want to work at Adenum Arts after graduation. Assistant experience with you is crucial to me. I'm afraid you'll fire me. So you thought it better to quit first?" She didn't answer. She didn't deny it either. "Ivy," he said again, far too gently. Each time he called her name, the low timbre of his voice sent a tingle through her palms. Under the warm light, his grey-green eyes deepened. "You have real artistic talent. Your languages, English, Italian, are impressive for someone who isn't a native speaker. I won't abandon you over a small mistake, and I hope you won't abandon this job over one either. All right." Aurora couldn't speak for a moment. It was the first time anyone had praised her for knowing multiple languages. For foreign students, language proficiency was merely the minimum threshold for survival. But from Lawrence's lips, it felt like genuine recognition. Suddenly, she remembered her early days in Italy and list lines at the town hall, late-night shifts, crying over vocabulary lists. No one had ever known any of that. But somehow, he understood. "Thank you," she whispered sincerely. Lawrence didn't dwell on gratitude. Instead, he asked, "After graduation, you intend to stay in Italy?" "If a company hires me, they will," he said with certainty. "I believe in you." It wasn't flattery, nor empty Italian charm, but a solid, unwavering affirmation. Her chest warmed, as if something soft had melted inside. Before coming to Italy, she had never felt confident or radiant. People always told her she was beautiful, but she had never truly believed it. From elementary school to university, she never lacked admirers. Her family was comfortable financially. But her father had changed, and not long after she was born, his illegitimate child appeared. In the years she needed love and companionship most, she received nothing from him. He was distant, strict, stingy even with affection. Aurora felt anger and contempt, yet deep down, she carried a warped wish to attract even a sliver of his attention. Even for a moment. Growing up in such a fractured household, even though she turned out strong, capable, independent, beautiful, and well-educated, deep inside, she unconsciously craved validation from mature men, to fill the void from childhood. To be seen, to be valued, to be accepted unconditionally. It had always been her quietest, deepest longing. So when Lawrence bluntly pointed out the flaws in her report, she panicked. Her confidence, carefully built through easy praise in Italy, wavered instantly. Because inside, she was more fragile than others realized. She knew she carried emotional wounds. No one chooses to be shaped by their family's shadow. "Ivy." Lawrence's voice pulled her from those heavy memories. She looked at him. "Can you accompany me to meet an old friend?" He was already dressed again in a perfectly tailored suit, asking as courteously as if she had a choice. Aurora froze. "A friend? For him, sir, that's not included in the contract." Lawrence nodded, as if expecting the objection. €100 for the overtime hour. Does that sound fair? Just one sentence. And every last hesitation dissolved. Aurora immediately tucked away her tablet, straightened her expression, and smiled obediently. "Then let's go, sir."